Hey everyone, I really appreciate you guys and your supporting efforts for our prison ministry outreach. And this is a special day. I am here today on October the 16th, 2024 with two of my good friends that I want to introduce to you. And Shane Jenwright to my left and Jeffrey McGraw. And we're here at St. Clair Correctional in Odenville, Alabama. This is our first experience doing this, and it's because of you that allows us to do this. So we're going to have a little conversation, and you're going to hear directly from them as to what their thoughts and their experiences have been going through our program, The True Measure of a Man. So I'm going to start out by asking a couple of questions to both Shane and Jeffrey. And Shane, I'll start with you. And why don't you tell those who are watching why you chose to participate in this class?
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Shane, and I've been incarcerated for 21 years now. And really, my first experience with True Measure of a Man was in 2018 at another correctional facility with Mr. Jimbo. And at the time, I was really looking for a change in my life. I was to a point where I was at the bottom of the bottom, in my life. And I was trying to find any and everything to get me in a different direction from where I was headed. And so at this particular time, I was seeking God, but I had no relationship with Him at all. And so when I heard about True Measure of a Man, it intrigued me because I was like, well, what does that even mean? I didn't even understand what true measure of a man meant. And so, and that allowed me to be first introduced to this material, this book. And as Jimbo spoke about, it's been very instrumental in changing my life to the man I am now. And this is 2024, so we're talking 6 years. And so, and it really was a great experience in understanding, where I was and why I was who I was. And so, the foundation that impacted me was probably understanding, first of all, who I was in Christ. And my view of God was so distorted that I always viewed God as standing on the other side of my mess, instead of God actually being right here with His arm around me, guiding me, but because of that, there was a separation of who I am and what I did, and so I always wore that tag of, my past as identifying who I am. And so that was a biggest obstacle in my life, because growing up, that was one of the main factors. I'm the second to the youngest out of 5 boys, and so my whole life was a performance, trying to get my parents or my siblings' attention, and so it started through baseball. That's where I started out as young, when I realized I got the attention by the way I performed on the baseball field, that caused me in a spiral to do everything I could to be the best I could be on that baseball field. And so that transition to what I did was who I was. And so that followed me when I came to prison, that because of the crime I committed was now who I was. And so that tag of I'm an outcast or a misfit, or this AIS number that I wear is who I am. you know. And so when I was able to understand that God loves me for who I am and not for what I did, that was life-changing for me, you know. And so that's basically the identity where I, you know, began to understand that who God says I am is not what I did, is the difference. And so when I started operating out of who God says I am, you know, instead of what I did, it was life-changing. It was groundbreaking for me to be able to see that, you know, my past no longer has that hold on me that's going to keep me from being able to move forward. You know, that God differentiates and says, I love you, you know, and not, I don't love what you did, but I love you, you know. And so when I was able to, you know, go through and find out, well, who does God say I am, you know. And so reading the Bible, I was able to, you know, really start digging into that. But the book is what turned my, you know, attention to say, you know, well, what you did is not who you are, you know. And that I think it was chapter 3 in the book where the guy was at 2008 whenever they had the
economic
meltdown. That, and people were going crazy because they were losing all their money because they based their identity in that, you know. And so and they didn't know which way to go after losing everything they had. And so I related to that, but from a different aspect, you know. Mine was because of what I did in the past, you know, was now I was never going to amount to anything, and that's who I'm always going to be. And so that started me on the course of being able to, okay, well, let's see who God says I am. And that's where it started at.
Yeah, Shane, you and Jeffrey both have heard me say and address our classes, you know, with this question. And the question is, I wonder what young men today think when they hear these words, be a man.
Right.
Be a man. And I know all of us have heard those words at some point in our life growing up. I know I did, certainly, and you guys did too. But I had no idea what those words meant.
Right.
And unfortunately, it was never defined for me.
No.
And this is where I believe this material really comes into play for most men, is that, you know, if we never have any accurate, truthful understanding of what that means to be a man,
right,
then how can we expect
exactly
to be able to perform or validate ourselves in such a way that meets with approval?
Right.
And that's why this material is so impactful.
Exactly.
And Richard Simmons has done an amazing job putting it together, and the lives that it has transformed, beginning with mine,
right,
is literally a miracle. So, Jeffrey, let me turn to you, and in your words, why did you choose to participate in this program?
Hi, my name is Jeffrey McGraw. I'm here in St. Clair. I've been incarcerated now about 37 years. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. When like Jimbo said, I was one of the first one that was chose to participate in this class, and I'm like, you know, at first it was, you know, like, oh man, another class. And so I came in a way, but you know, the thing that caught me is the true measure of a man. I said, I never thought about that. So as I started going to class, the more I started going to class, and some of the other students that participated with me that was going to class, we were like, man, it's an awesome class, you know what I'm saying? And we would get out of class, and every week I would look forward to the next class, you know what I'm saying? And so it touched my life in a way to where it's like the missing puzzle, the missing piece that I've been looking for. And when I first met Jimbo, a lot of time when you meet people in life, sometimes you can connect just instantly. And when I met Mr. Jimbo, it was like we've been knowing each other all our life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just blew me away.
Right.
It was strange, it was awkward, but I'm like, wow, you know what I'm saying? It was just, it was phenomenal, you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad I participated. I'm glad I started going to class, and like I said, every week I was looking forward to it because it was almost like, hey, I need this, and for me, it was like, you know, it's something in life that you know that when you find it, you know, hey, this what I'm supposed to be. This what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I had that moment. So that motivated me. That always had me looking forward to the next class. I grew up Birmingham, Alabama. I come up. I was the oldest of 6 siblings, and my parents put me in a position to where, as a young guy, I had to be more like to protect and provide, look out for my younger sibling. So at an early age, I had this, I guess you could say, protected like personality. And so in life, I found out that I had to be my performance. I had to always feel like I was protected. I always felt like I had to perform for people in order to get their approval. And I noticed that, you know what I'm saying, as I grew up and got, become more mature, I realized that, people walk around like with a yardstick and they measure everybody they meet. That's how a lot of people connect with people. So if you don't measure up, then, you know what I'm saying, the word pretty much will tell you, we can't use you. So I had a lot of disappointments like that in life where I couldn't measure up, you know what I'm saying? So, but all my life I've been longing for change. I've been longing to know that something deep within is like a bald spot there that wanted to connect to me, with me, but I didn't know how to connect. My first time I come to prison, I can remember my dad in the courtroom, and he was saying, "Hey son, be a man." Then had no idea what that meant, but I looked at him and I said, okay. So when I came to prison, you had, they have a norm in prison. It's like a word within a word. And so, like my dad said, be a man. So you have different guys that's doing different things that I learned early on that I said, you know what, just because I'm in prison, I don't want to become, I have that prison mentality. I don't want to be, what this environment says that I has to be the norm. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna be different. And it has been easy. It has been easy because you're going against everything else. And then the sentence that I had with life without parole, people look at me and like, well, why are you being different? But something always was on the inside was pulling me towards the light per se. You know what I'm saying? To bring me to know the truth. And even that was confusing, because every day I was longing for it, and every day I was praying, asking God to show me, talk to me. And it never happened. It happened, but it didn't happen as fast as I thought it would. And I thought that God may abandon me. And there was times that I was thinking about, well, if I can't beat him, might well join. And God has a way of putting people in your life, man, in the time that when you really need the most, when He knows your heart. Because the world look at us on the outside. But God knows my heart. He knows deep down in my heart. I did a lot of stupid things, but He knows I regret it. And He knows that I did it out of ignorance. And I thank God that He have mercy, that where He spared my life, you know what I'm saying, where I knew I was supposed to have been dead, because He have another plan for me. He have another purpose for me. And so, like I said, I am so glad that I had joined the class first. Like I said, I talked negative about it, I talked down about it, but once I started going, I'm like, man, this is the missing piece that I've been looking for. This is what I've been looking for all my life. And so, like I said, it's just one of the things that you just know. You just know that. And I've sold it. I just bought in everything. I just, hey, this is what I need. And the reason I know that it was God answered my prayer is because I had been praying for this. I had been praying for somebody to show me what my dad was saying, even what I would want. What is truly the meaning or definition of being a man? Because I had no idea. And so just wandering around and still, performing, still trying to get the proofs of others, find myself doing things that deep down I didn't want to do. And, but to be a man or to get their approval, I did it anyway. And so once I started getting into the book Richard Simmons wrote, it was mind blowing. I'm like, I was blown away by the fact that how this guy can take this little thin book, and really I just took it like, hey, you talking about me? I took it personally. I took it that, hey, this book was written for Jeff. You know what I'm saying? And I ate it. I'm talking about I ate everything, and I love it because, like I said, it's the truth. It's the truth that I've been looking for. And it has a wonderful impact on my life. I see the light now, and ultimately, it shows me how it connects or how it is in line with what the scripture says. You know what I'm saying? And God answered my prayer about through this class, and it was the light. It was the missing part that I've been looking for. And I love it, man, because I see now that with God, you know what I'm saying, I always fear him because I never had a relationship. I loved him and wanted to get to know him, but I didn't know how. And when nobody tell me, I come up, my mom would drag us to church, and you know what I'm saying, but nobody just really never sat down and say why, the who's, the what's, the why. And that's important. You have to have the answer for the who, what's, and why. Because if not, you know what I'm saying, you're going to always be confused. Those questions will always be lingering there because don't nobody know. And like I said, the same thing about being, my dad was saying about being a man. I didn't know. I had no idea. And instead of me saying, hey, I need help with this, you know what I'm saying, and just allow my pride and all the other things to be the driver's seat, right, knowing that it's carrying me down the road of self-destruction. My pride would let me cry out because I was told that men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? And you just have to suck it up, be a man up. And it's just a lot of confusion, but True Measure of a Man has really opened up a lot of doors for me. It's been a life, and I am so grateful for Jimbo. And it's like, man, where you been all my life? You know what I'm saying, when I first met him. And it's a wonderful program. I could just go on and on about it, but I love the fact. I'm glad that I participated. I am honored. It's a privilege to be here, having this conversation. And,
right.
I don't have to rehearse it. I can truly just say, hey, just come straight from my heart.
Yeah.
And just, hey, this is who I am.
All right.
Jeffrey, move in a little tighter if you can for everybody. So a couple of things as we continue on. Both of you guys have heard me say numerous times that when we do know our identity as a man, we will know exactly what to do.
Right.
And I think one of the unfortunate things that you touched on that I think all of us have experienced is when you hear those words, be a man, there's a certain implied definition or understanding. But the reality is that varies from person to person,
right,
and place to place and circumstance to circumstance.
Right.
And it leads to great confusion.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so glad that we've arranged our program in a way to where we actually discuss the material.
Right.
We come in each week. It could be for 10 weeks. It could be for 12 weeks,
right,
just depending on where we are in the book. That this is not just a book for men to read and try to understand it and figure it out. But I believe all three of us can agree that the value in the class comes from the discussion
exactly,
that we get to have
right,
in our class.
right.
Shane, you want to talk a little bit about that?
So I think that's very impactful because it sets a atmosphere of being able to be transparent, be vulnerable, and it opens up that opportunity, because initially, just from my experience, I wanted to be the one that sat over in the corner and just observed, and so, and that's honestly what I did the first time that I went through the program. I've been through the program 5 times, and because each time it's been something else that I pulled from it, and it's allowed me to continue to, as Jeff said, mature, as in who I am as a man and understanding that. But the more I went through it, the more I began to realize, man, the more people participate in it, the more you're going to get out of it, and so that's on you and other guys that are in the program itself, me and Jeff, to help, cultivate that atmosphere that, hey, I can talk about this, and, I can, because the guy sitting over in the corner is probably saying, man, I went through the same thing, I felt the same way, and so, and that opens up to, oh, I'm not unique in this, I'm not just different, because honestly, that's, a lot of guys feel that way. You don't understand what I've been through, and you hear that a lot, especially in here, and so the more we're able to talk about it, the more we realize, hey, we might not have done the same thing or been through the same thing, but man, we've been through some things, and so, and that sets that atmosphere. And then, man, whenever I'm able to unburden myself with that, oh man, that's where guys make these connections, and they're able to, it cultivates an atmosphere of trust, and that I can trust you with what I've gone through, and know, because you've been through something too, and so, and it really is, that's huge, period. But in this type of atmosphere, it's major, because just what Jeff said, you come into prison and you gotta have a certain, or act a certain way, and you can't say certain things, and you can't be vulnerable, you can't be transparent, you got to have this persona of, I'm a tough guy, and so, and you got to carry that, because being honest, there's guys that play on that weakness, and so
in this environment, there's probably an even greater desire to want to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
And the very thing that we know works against us.
Exactly.
That we learn through going through this, as you said, the transparency, the sharing, the discussion.
Yes.
That in our minds is where the greatest opportunity for change can take place.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Jeffrey, you and I, as you said earlier, we really connected that first day. I'll never forget it.
Absolutely.
There was a strong connection there with you and I, and I certainly saw it and experienced it. And one of the unique gifts that I saw and continue to see in you is your willingness to be open, to be transparent, to be vulnerable in a group setting.
Absolutely.
And also, I observed as the other participants heard you, that their willingness, that encouraged them to actually do the same and open up. So let me ask you, what is it you think about this class that creates that causes men to do the very thing that they naturally don't want to do?
Right. Well, I think for me, what I experienced when I was in the class is that, I'm like Shane, I sit back and kind of reluctant to put myself out there, old mother. But the more you talked about it, and I find myself, I need to talk about this. And, the class setting, it was easy for me to talk about. once in my life, I said, you know what, I'm not going to let my pride hold me back or rob me from being set free. And the freedom is awesome, because even though I'm incarcerated, it's a freedom that is you can't really explain it, but it's a freedom that opens up to where I'm not burdened down. I don't feel like I have to hide or being in prison, because I found out that, you know, just because you're in a visitor prison, most people are already in prison. Dealing with a lot of stuff because they're afraid to open up, afraid to, you know, talk about things. But the class, it provided me with the opportunity to just share. And like Mr. Jimbo said, that you know, it seems like once we start opening up and people begin to say, hey, I can relate to that.
Right.
I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And that made other people just want to share. But you know, it's something that, you know, I found myself saying, well, look, I'm not alone on this. I'm not by myself. There's other men that experience the same thing I'm experiencing. Yeah. So, you know, we went from there and we just started opening up, man. It blew me away. It was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? How guys were, and being in prison, were able to open up and share, and we all can relate to that. And it helped us to, hey, maybe, you know what I'm saying, this is a good program, you know what I'm saying? So maybe, you know, and then, you know, and I'm on the inside with the guys, and I can hear them talking about it. I can hear them, you know what I'm saying, we're not in the classroom, Jimbo gone home, and I'm hearing that. I mean, I love that program. I like what you're doing. Hey, man, True Measure, man, it's the best program they got out there. And I'm sitting there what they were saying. And I was in agreement with it. I said, man, it's the best program they got, you know what I'm saying, because it had a life, it had an impact on my life. Right. And, you know, it was something that now I find myself, I'm so eager to want to go out there and share with other people. But I think for the most part is that I don't have to be ashamed now. I don't have to walk around and feel self-condemned or beat myself up about stuff anymore. Yeah. Because God said, hey, I stamp my approval on you. And so once we connect, we had that relationship. So my approval, you know, it's not so much where it comes from me anymore, because God said, "Hey, you've been approved. Right? You my beloved son." So with the, you know, when the Creator says this, who created all men, you know, that make it easy for me to walk it out. Right. And I think that for the most part, a lot of guys, they feel how people might see them, using what people would think about them. You know what I'm saying? So now when I meet guys, even I know, I don't have no problem stop praying for them or do what I can to help them. You know what I'm saying? You spend time, I don't want to be there, I don't want nobody to think I'm weak or this, you know what I'm saying? And when you read the Bible and when Jesus was here on earth and how he was in multitudes of people and doing things that he was doing, you know what I'm saying? The crowd wanted him to go along with what they wanted him to do. You know what I'm saying? He had his own thing. He was doing his own thing. And so I learned from that, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, when the world wants you to go the opposite way of doing things what's supposed to be done the right way, you know what I'm saying? Jesus showed me that, you know what I'm saying, that you don't necessarily have to go the way, because once God said, hey, this is my beloved son, and once he approved, once you get his approval from him, then to me, the rest of it come easy. Yeah,
I think it's in my experience for the last several years now, part of the real value, if not the real value, is helping men, and I include myself in this, having an accurate and truthful understanding as to how God sees us. Exactly. And my view was very incorrect.
Mine too.
Mine too.
And this material for me was so impactful in my transformation. Jeffrey, you mentioned something earlier. You know, one of the questions I had was, how in the world can you have a relationship with someone you can't see?
Yeah, right.
Personally, I think it's a great question.
They do.
I think a lot of men ask that
They ask
question.
that question, that's right.
And this material is what led me into pursuing and showing me
Yeah.
how to develop a personal relationship with him, because once I understood, once I saw and understood how he sees me, it changed everything.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what we are helping men to do.
Right.
Is we start out with this idea of who we are as a man. That's not defined by anybody.
Right.
We just hear the words, but we're left to our own devices as to what that means.
Right.
And that's what leads to that chaos and confusion. Shane, you've actually led groups. As we know, we have groups that are volunteer-led, like myself, and then we've developed this program where there are groups where we are actually teaching and training and equipping other inmates
Right.
to lead this material. And you've been a leader before, a very successful one, I might add. Briefly tell our audience what that kind of experience means to you.
So just going back with what you said about this material led you trying to identify or lead you on the path to understand what it truly means to be a man. And so we know that inevitably God defines that for us. And so when I started that path and I allowed Ephesians to be what identifies me as who I am as a man, as God's chosen vessel, just what Jeffrey was speaking on. That inevitably opened up the doors to where now I understand my purpose. It gave me a purpose, and that purpose was I need to help other men see this, because this is just what Jeff said. This is the dilemma. This is the problem. Guys don't understand. It's an identity crisis that we have to deal with behind these walls. And I imagine it's the same way out there, but mine and Jeff's life resides in here. And so, and when it was opened up for me, man, I can see it plain as day with everyone else. And that's what it is. It's an identity crisis. And so now getting guys to, they're real reserved when it comes to spirituality. So we have to break that ice with just what you said, using material like this and not even the spiritual aspect of it initially. That is able, once they see, oh yeah, I'm dealing with that, well now the spiritual side can be used and showing them this is what it was meant to be to begin with. And so, and that's, I love it because it just watching it, men, it click and they see it, and that's when I know, I couldn't have done this on my own. I know God had his hand in it, and so, and for me, I feel that's my purpose now, is to help these guys see, because breaking through that barrier of, I'm the tough guy is really a challenge in here, and so because I was once that tough guy, and so I had to get to the point where I could allow some to, impact me. And just like Jeff said, I knew God was out there. I just didn't know how to do it. I mean, I grew up in the South, so it was fire and brimstone, and so I was petrified of God. And then my relationship with my dad was strange. And so when you spoke about Heavenly Father, well, I equated that to my earthly father, and I didn't want nothing to do with it if they were the same. And so I had a lot of mess to work through, and God, was able to clear that out of the way and allow this to cultivate that relationship. And so, I know the importance of that. And so now God showed me, okay, now this is how you're going to help other guys, and so, and that's where that's what my daily challenge is, you know, day in and day out,
Yeah.
is to help other men see, you know, that God's real, and that He loves them, and that, you know, you can be a better man.
That's right.
Simply
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. Some final thoughts as we wrap this up in conclusion. Again, most of the value that we see comes from this regular weekly interaction through discussion and conversations. We believe that helps facilitate the greatest opportunity for change, knowing that it's not us, it's God who
Right.
causes the growth and makes the change.
Absolutely.
But I want to ask and want you guys to speak to what you think the importance of taking this material and helping other men, how you do that, and in essence, how do you build community in a camp like this?
Okay, I'll start. We live in such close confines. I mean, we live in 8x10 cell with another individual, and then we live in our dorms hold 48 men, and so we live with 50 men, you know, in a close proximity, and so what this program this particular material has helped me be able to do is I live an unoffended life first and foremost, meaning, because just what Jeff spoke on about the stamp of approval, I know who I am now in Christ, and so I don't have to be offended by, you know, our daily life in here no more. I don't have to wear that persona and trying to be somebody, because God says I'm somebody, and this is who God says I am, and so I can live out of that and be transparent and be vulnerable and just speak truth, you know, and not have to hide on anything.
You don't have to perform.
Don't have to perform, period, you know, and so I'm going to be who God says I am. That's who I am, and I'm going to walk that out day in and day out, and none of the outside stuff, meaning the people around me, is going to dictate that. I'm going to be centered there, and so when in here, consistency is a big thing, and so when guys see that about you and how you know, that opens up that door. What is it how do you do this, you know?
Right.
And so now I'm able to speak on
Creates an opportunity.
Exactly, and so and this is why, this is who I am, and so the guys get inquisitive when they see that. Just what Jeff said, you're doing things differently than what everybody else, you know, and so this is who I am. It's not what I do, you know. This is who I am because God says this is who I am,
Right.
and so I walk that out, and so now that starts that conversation of, you know, well, who are you, you know, and well, let me show you, you know, and so that's where it works.
Jeffrey, what about for you? How do you see this program as effective in building community where you live?
For me, I'm a institutional painter, which I feel is an honor that the administration trusts me to be able to go around the camp with paints and stuff like that. But I have the opportunity, and I thank God for it, to where I'm allowed to go in different dorms, a lot of the negative dorms. And a lot of the young guys, they refer to me as uncle. I've learned that, you know, people rather see a sermon than hear one. Mm-hmm. So it's so important to how we walk this thing out, how we live our life on a day-to-day basis, right. Because what you do and say, you know what I'm saying, affect other people. And a lot of times you might think nobody's watching or nobody's listening to what you're saying. But there's people sitting back watching and listening. Because deep down, and like I once was, my pride wouldn't let me ask the questions that need to be asked in order to get the help that I needed. Mm-hmm. I would sit back and be reluctant to ask that, but like the rich ruler did Jesus, you know what I'm saying, he sneaked at nighttime and he wanted to be saved because he knew that sitting back, apparently he had been watching Jesus and he knew what Jesus had, he wanted it too. So it's so important to walk it out. It's so important. I have a lot of guys who trust me because they know I don't do drugs. You know, I'm gonna be fair. I'm not gonna tell them what they want to hear. And a lot of time I find myself in situations. I'm talking about escalate. I'm talking about just big situations with stabs and stuff like that going. And they will pull me into it and ask me what I think. At home, man, because I know I'm gonna be straight. He's gonna tell the truth. And it's an honor that, you know what I'm saying, I know that, you know, that God has his hand in this. He's doing this. And because of those situations, I was able to give my opinion on what I think about it and a cause, maybe save somebody's life who was probably about to get ready to be stabbed. And so with that, my pain in our dorm setting is really have started other guys when they don't clean the environment and stuff like that. And so I tell them all the time, I swear, if y'all willing to change, if you willing to change your environment, you want to clean like it is over in the core program, then I would do what I need to do with administration to get the material that I need to come in and do the paint. And so that's been going on a lot now in a lot of dorms. Even as I speak now, you have dorms over there now who have started programs, writing different concepts and stuff on the wall, love and respect, trust, and all that type of stuff. So I'm seeing how it, you know, saying not only my walk, but how the core program itself have really just started other dorms to want to start programs at a dorm. And I've had guys come and say, man, once we get started, you mind coming over here and sharing your experience with some of these guys? And I'm like, I'm blown away again. Yeah. But it's something that God has his hand in. It's nothing that I did. It just, you know what I'm saying, I just obeyed, just obey what he told me to and walk it out. And with that, and like the scripture said, you'll see the signs and the fruits of the Spirit. So with that, I know that there's a lot of people that's sitting back in the corner like I used to do, that want somebody to show them the way. Mm-hmm. They want somebody to come and say, hey man, I know a better way. But they're really worried about what other people say. Because in this environment, you have a lot of gang-related guys in it. So, in the gang, you have to put up this tough guy thing. Mm-hmm. But they really want to break free from that. They really want to get out of that. Right. And they're looking for somebody to show them. That's why it's so important. And I feel it's imperative that every day, and I pray and I ask God to order my steps according to his word. Because it's so important. Because like I said, it's an ordinance out there. It's a big opportunity for people for millions to have their lives changed and be impacted on what I've got from being the true measure of a man. And I don't mind any time anywhere, and I share that. And like you were speaking on earlier, Shane, this is the beginning of the road that leads us to a relationship with our Creator, Jesus Christ. And it's just been an awesome journey. And I still have a lot of work to do. And I share with Jimbo. I said, man, when I get out, I'm going to find my old abandoned building. And this is going to be my thing. I can see it already. I'm visualized. True Measure of a Man Workshop. Out there in the free world. So I find it because I know it can open men's eyes. I know ultimately it can set you free. Mm-hmm. And like I said, just because we're in prison, that's one thing, but being in prison on the inside, man, that's what men need to be set free from. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the real prison. Milton.
Well, listen, you guys are not only great examples, but I consider you close friends. Mm-hmm. And I learned so much from the opportunities of being with you guys. And if you all on the other side of the camera here, if this hasn't touched your heart, there's not a lot I can do for you. But this is literally a privilege and an honor that we get to do, and both Jeffrey and Shane understand that. And I love these guys. I love working with them, and it gives us a great joy to know that even while being incarcerated, as you've heard today from these men, they know their purpose.
Right.
They both have a purpose. They know what it is, and they're actively involved in making a difference in other men's lives right here at St. Clair Correctional. I want to thank CORE for the opportunity for us to be here. And again, I want to thank you all that are watching and listening today for your support. I love you. We cannot do this work without you, and we hope to do something similar in the near future. And until next time, thank you. God bless you.
God bless you.